Yes.
How you doing?
All right.
How you doing?
Hi.
Are you the one who wanted to file a complaint?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go in here?
I just want to ask you, in here, do you mind if I record our conversation in there? Okay. I'll turn so I don't get that on here either. Okay.
Come on, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sorry about the delay.
Oh, that's fine.
I was in the middle of something else when they called.
I really appreciate you coming to see me.
And I won't fit in this chair. All right. So, what officer is it?
This is about Officer...
Oh, you already got the form. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Officer Pappin.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you fill out your statement?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
And I can kind of explain to you what happened. I was doing a story on the post office. I had a friend there that did a story a while back, and he got a little vulgar, and he got 2 charges of disorderly conduct for doing it, and he got those dismissed. Well, the whole thing is the post office has a poster 7 in there, and it explains that the public has a right to film in the exterior of the building, the lobbies, foyers, you know, all the areas that are
the guideline poster.
Yes, their own rules and regulations. As long as it's publicly accessible, you can film in there.
Right.
I went in there and I didn't. I went in very calm. I'm different than a lot of other auditors that you call it. But also, I do a story on it. I was going to get the prices of the post office boxes because I'm thinking about getting one. Okay. So I went in there. I didn't really have any contact with anybody. I didn't film any other customers. I was being very respectful, and then the police force showed up, obviously, and they're very cool with me. Every single one of them, they understood what I was doing. They just read it. They wanted to go over the law and make sure.
Do you remember who the officers were that came?
I do not know. I was asking her, but the case number would have all the officers. And I mean, they were very, very awesome. There's the case number there. And one of the things I like to do with my stories is when I have law enforcement interactions, I like to post out there on my channel all these, because Yuma, I've had 95% positive interactions. And if you get a chance to check out my story, I did a story on Officer Carrillo. You know, we had a big law. I did an interview with him about the crime.
Officer?
Yes, about the crime and the problem with the meth in town, and really gave him a big shout out. And anytime I have a good experience with officer, I put it out there. Hey, this is how other departments in the country should be training like these officers here in Yuma. You know, because I've been very proud of the law enforcement officers here. Well, everything was fine in this whole situation. At the very end of it, when it was pretty much done, and they were saying everything's fine to go, Pompeo, I get his name wrong. Pappin. Okay, he came up behind me, and I didn't catch him, and he took a picture of me, that's his First Amendment right. He can do that. But then he just turned away and started walking away, and I said, "Officer," I didn't know his name yet. "Officer," and I got a letter. I started following, "Officer, officer," and he just ignored me all the way into his car. I wanted to get his name and badge number so I could FOIA that picture he took. And he got up to his car, and I'm asking him, I need your name and badge number so I can get that, get a copy from Freedom of Information Act of that picture you took. And he got out of his car, and I mean, he was totally real angry. "Why did you come up real aggression? I'm going to need your name now." He has an anger management issue, and I used to have those too. I went to a lot of classes, so I can spot somebody with an anger management problem. And the video was live streamed to the internet when I was doing this, so you are able to see that. If you go to my channel, you'll see the interaction he did. Everybody else, and then the other officers, they came up to me while he's sitting in his car steaming, they come up, and I was like, well, do I need to be here anymore? Is everything okay? They're like, no, everything's fine. Let's go.
This was outside?
Yeah. I was outside of his car still waiting while he's calling in to, I'm guessing he's calling to see if he could do something because he's upset with me because I wanted his name and badge number. And they're like, oh, no, that's fine. You can go. And they walked off, the other officers. They're all cool. Then he gets off the phone and he goes, where's the other officers? I said, well, they said I can go. They're fine. They walked off. And he stormed over there and like he's just mad that, you know, that nothing was going to happen. He wanted my name. And I did. I asserted my rights because the rights are, I mean, most of the officers here, they already know me. I mean, I've ran into every one of them. They call me by my first name, my last name. So, you know, it's kind of surprising one didn't know me. But because he didn't know me, I wasn't going to ID myself unless I have to, because I am an activist, and I didn't have to identify at that point. And I think that really upset him.
You weren't detained or anything?
No, not at all. And just his demeanor and the way he came at me worries me, that if he's got that kind of an anger problem, what happens when he gets in a problem with somebody else, you know, and he gets in that? I think that's bad for the department, and that can cause problems down the line. And I just want to bring it to your attention. That way maybe you guys can see what happened, and maybe he'll get a little bit of training to stop it.
Did you want to file a formal complaint, or did you want me to just talk to Officer Pappin about the situation? Because I saw the video yesterday, and I spoke to him this morning about it in briefing.
Okay.
And I wasn't happy that, and to be honest, I wasn't happy that he turned and just walked away without stopping and giving you his name immediately. Because our policy says when a citizen asks for an officer's name, we give them their name and the badge number.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one video that I saw where you asked about the badge number.
Yeah.
And the badge number that's actually on the badge.
Yes.
We don't actually use those. Those are just for administrative tracking. We keep track of our badges.
Yeah.
We actually have an employee number.
Yes. And I've noticed that some people have 3 different numbers in some departments. You know, they have their badge.
So it can kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So, yet he is required to give his name and his badge number. How many times would you say you asked him?
That I asked? Well, I called out to him when he walked away probably about 8 times to ask him just to stop so I could ask him those questions so I could get that for you. And he walked all the way, got in his car. I even spoke louder because I thought, well, maybe he's not hearing me. You know, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And I did raise my voice, but I was just thinking, maybe he's not hearing me. There's no way this guy's just going to ignore me, you know what I mean? And then he get in his car, and then, so I'm asking him right there, and that's when he just lost it, you know what I mean? He got out, and he's like, you give me your name, and, you know, he was just, you saw the video, so, I mean, that tells more than what I can say. And the big thing with that is, and how I look at this, is when a civilian does something wrong, police department, even if it's a petty thing, if they get arrested, later on down the line, each arrest shows so that if something bad later, they got a history of bad. So I think it's the same way when you have an officer doing this, that there should be a paper trail. So if something bad happens in the future, they can say, oh, well, look at this happened, you know. And so I feel the same way about that too. So,
absolutely.
So yeah, that's why I want to do.
It's our job to serve the public and the citizens that we're here for, and that's what being a public servant is all about.
And I just want to let you know, I am pro-police. You know what I mean? When I was younger, you know, I had a drug problem. I did. My mom looked for help. There wasn't any help back then. You know what the help we got?
Here in Yuma?
Yes, it was here in Yuma. The help my mom got is they put us in juvenile hall. They sent government agents in our house every week. My mom had fines she couldn't pay for. And you'll see the interview that I did with God, I can't get his name. Corello? Yes. You'll see the interview. We had a good talk. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to see what he thought about maybe finding a way where we can stop that cycle where people actually start getting more help than they do getting arrested, because that doesn't really help.
It doesn't help because it becomes a vicious circle. It's just a rotating, revolving door where they're in and out of jail, and they're going back to the old habits they had before, and they never really get treatment. So,
my little brother ended up doing 10 years in prison because he was a drug addict. And each time he'd go in, he would come back more of a criminal.
Probably worse.
Yeah, each time he became institutional.
Yeah.
You know, finally, after 10 years, he we got through, he kicked it, he says, I'm done with this, you know, and he's been clean for, I think it's been 5 years, he's doing good, and I'm glad. I was scared I was going to lose my brother, you know, and what saved me was my kids, you know. When I had kids, I had to change my life around. And
it seemed to make a lot of people grow up.
Yeah.
A lot of hardcore gangsters, once they start having kids,
yeah, you know what I mean? That's the most important thing. And I haven't even had a traffic ticket in like 15 years. I mean, I stay out of it. And a lot of people said, you're crazy going out and doing what you're doing, but I want to make a change, you know what I mean? I like showing that Yuma, the officers are trained so well. I mean, have you ever watched First Amendment audits?
I've only seen a couple of them.
Okay, if you get some spare time, look, you'd be surprised at some other departments.
What's it called? First
Amendment audits. If you just Google that or just search in YouTube, you'll see thousands of them. I mean, they're all over the country now. I mean, I was watching some, and that's what got me into it, you know.
When did they actually start here in Yuma?
And Yuma, I think there was a guy, Alan on the spot, was the first one to do one here. And I was wanting to be the first one, but he beat me by about a month, you know, and then I went out, and the first one was when we went to the post office and he got that disorderly conduct. No. But he got it dismissed. They got in his face pretty aggressive, and he kind of called somebody the B word, and that was the disorderly. Yeah, well, no, it was the employee, you know what I mean? But he said, you're being a, but still, you know, he got it dismissed, but that's his style, and he's not going to be doing that no more. He already said, I'm not using foul language, and I just don't, you know what I mean? Right. I think that's maybe because I got 2 teenage daughters, and I try to set an example all the time.
You have to be an example for kids.
And my 13-year-old, she actually goes out and does this with me. She likes it. She's learning, you know what I mean? So,
all right, let me make sure I have the information right. So there was the incident inside the post office. Did any of the employees contact you or come and speak to you at all, or find out what you were doing or anything?
The only thing was they never said a thing. I got all the way up to the counter to where I asked for the prices of the P.O. box. She started to help me, and she said, you can't film personal information up here. And I said, I won't do that. All I'm asking is for the P.O. boxes, and there's no customers right next to me, so I wasn't there to film personal information. And I told her that. And then she said, she started helping me, and then I was like, well, can I get the prices for the boxes? And then she walked to the back, and I waited maybe 10 minutes, and I felt bad for the other customers. And then I saw the police come in. So I was like, I said on the stream, I was like, well, I know she's not coming back for me. So I just walked over to the police and I said, are you here for me? And I said, I'm sorry you guys are here, and I know you know why I'm here.
It was probably a postal worker
that called. Yes, I can almost guarantee it.
Because I heard part of the call come out, but again, I was busy on something else. We've got evaluations being written right now, so everybody's kind of tied up. So I haven't been able to leave the office.
Yeah,
sequestered in that little.
I get you. Yeah.
Down there, but so I just want to make sure I have my facts right. So you were never contacted by a postal worker until you got to counter, and then you were asking about the P.O. boxes and the prices and so on.
Absolutely, and I did intentionally tried to make sure I wasn't filming the customers. I didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable. And compared to if you watch when my friend Alan went in to where I did, the customers were like getting upset with him. Not one customer said anything to me. You know what I mean? So I think I was being respectful enough to that.
So you've been filming customers.
Now, after the police got there, I did kind of film to show how long the line was and stuff like that from
just
everything.
General stuff.
Yeah.
You would see that anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, if you're in public, you have no expectation of privacy, anyways. But I just respected the people, and I mean, I wasn't there for them. I was there to see if I would be treated okay for filming and doing what I had a right to do. That was the whole point of it, you know.
You never got any private info, any.
No, absolutely no. I never even got close to that, and I stayed away from that, absolutely. And it was all live streamed, so, and I never took it down, never edited. The whole thing from start to finish is all on there.
Okay.
And I mean, all the other officers, they were awesome. I mean, I'm proud to show that to the whole YouTube community. And I don't have as many as other people, but I mean, I've grown to over 1,600 people that watch my stuff, which is pretty amazing to me. But
For a small town guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
And they're all over the country, so they have departments that are pretty rough with people, and they see this. Maybe we'll get some new people moving down here. That
I tell my officers, you know what, you get more compliance and more cooperation being polite and professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Professional.
The only other bad interaction I've had in Yuma was with the Get 'em guys. I was filming a traffic stop, and they came up to ask me what I was doing. I just asked for the name and badge numbers. They said, we don't have badge numbers, and they wouldn't ID. Well, I did FOIA requests. I got all that information, and that's the other complaint that I'm working with right now, just because they wouldn't identify. But I'm not out there to cause trouble. That's not my point. You know what I mean? I'm just out there to exercise my rights.
Like I said, we have a couple of different ways we can handle it. We can, I can pull Officer Pappin into the office and speak to him about it and express, the importance of making sure that.
Hello.
Well, you were quicker at punching the buttons than I was. I couldn't get in this place.
Oh, how are you doing?
This is Sergeant Wright.
I'm Sergeant Wright.
I go by Danny. It's Bruce Gwynn, but everybody calls me Danny.
Okay.
Okay.
This is in reference to the post office incident that I think was floating around this morning. And his concern was Officer Pappin's demeanor when he approached him out of the parking lot.
Okay.
He got a little confrontational, but and then the fact that he had to follow him to the car and ask him about, 8 times?
Yeah, and he just ignored me and walked away, and then got in his car and totally ignored me until I stood out there and I was saying, I need your name and badge. I forget exactly, you can see it, and then he jumped out very mad and saying, you're going to give me your name and this and that, and he was just very upset, and I don't think that should be how he should have responded at all, is being angry with me. I mean, I didn't, he took a picture of me, which is his right. But he could have answered my question. I mean, all I wanted was his name and badge number so I could FOIA that picture if I wanted to. I probably wouldn't have done it. But just to let him know, I can FOIA that picture, if you take a picture of me, I could, it's public record, so, but.
Well, like I was saying, I spoke to him briefly this morning about the incident because I actually watched the video and I watched his performance on the video, and I wasn't very happy that he just kind of ignored you and scurried off to the car. So I had a chat with him about that this morning. I annotated it in we call a PPR, Personal Performance Review. And basically that's a record of all the interaction with the public and different things the officers do or any mistakes that they make, or we just keep a record of that as we go along. And at the end of the year when we have eval time, evaluations, we can use that as a reference.
Okay.
That's annotated in there.
Okay.
I can pull it up if you'd like to see it.
No, it's fine. But it will be in his record.
Oh, it's in there.
Okay, so if something happened to him in the future and he ends up like a bad situation with somebody, they'll see that was in there, and somebody said.
And the reason I put it in there is because I spoke to the captain this morning about that.
Oh, okay.
And I mentioned it to her. I said, you may get a call, you may not. I don't know, but here's what happened. I watched the video and I kind of explained everything to her. So I said, he made a mistake. He walked away and he didn't respond immediately to the request for the name and badge, like you should have.
Yeah.
Again, there's a couple different ways we can handle it.
That sounds good to me.
We can do it that way and leave it as a counseling session, and I can annotate it as a counseling session, or we can go the full.
I'm good right there. I think what you did is.
Wright would handle that.
I'm fine because it wasn't a full blown. I mean, he didn't violate my rights. You know what I mean? He just. Lost his anger for he had a little bit of it. Yeah, he had an anger problem right there. Right. And I used to have bad anger issues, so I understand those. But you can get a class, you can work through those. So so you guys know, okay, he might have an anger issue, and if something happens in the future, it might be like, hey, maybe he needs to get some classes or something because we don't want this to happen with a serious situation.
Let me pull it up real quick, and I'll read it to you so you'll see that we did. He actually works directly for me.
Okay.
And I tell the guys, I said, look, you have to be able to work with and around all different sorts of people. They're going to rub you wrong sometimes. They're going to come at you different ways. But you have to be prepared for that. You have to be professional. And he understands that, Supervisor.
And like I said, if you ever get a chance and you're kind of bored or whatever, and you just search on YouTube First Amendment audits, you'll see I'm actually pretty nice compared to a lot of these guys out there. You know, I think if you're my whole point is to make change, and I don't think you can make change if you are acting worse than the person you're trying to make change with. So I try to stay calm and talk right. I mean, I'm not book smart, I'm street smart, you know, because of the way I grew up and stuff. So my language ain't all that great. I don't talk right or whatever, but I know what I'm trying to get through. And but I'm not going to start calling people names. I'm not going to be loud, cussing at people and stuff. So that's just me. And I'm not going to get angry unless somebody starts treating me angry. What I even put in my channel is I give what I get. You know, so if somebody starts giving me well, they might start getting a little bit from me, but I haven't really had that situation. The worst thing I've had so far, and I just had to, I had to do 2 complaints today. I filmed a traffic stop in Winter Haven, and the officer there, it's also on there, and I had to go talk to them. He got so angry because I wouldn't identify myself. He went and found my vehicle, went over there, and I was walking along the side of the road, and he said I committed a crime for walking down the side of a road. That's illegal, that's a crime. And he made me, and at that time, since he said it was a crime, I gave up my ID like I was supposed to. He said, oh, your driver's license is suspended for medical suspension. I used to be a truck driver. I got diabetes.
The CDL part,
yes.
Right?
And, you know, you can't drive. You got to get family member to come get you. Then and then I know that's wrong because I went to DMV the next day. They said, no, it states clearly it's your CDL that's medically suspended. Your driver's license, you never had a ticket. You don't have a problem. And then he says, I have to close my eyes, hands down on my side, and I shouldn't even have to do this. I was walking. He says, and estimate 30 seconds for me. So I don't know how anybody else estimates, but I close my eyes and I count 30 in my head, and I know I nailed it right on the head. And he goes, well, how did you do that? And I said, well, I counted 30 in my head. He goes, did I say for you to count in your head? You know, and he was just he was retaliating because he didn't like the fact that I filmed this traffic stop. And when he asked me for a name, I said, well, I don't want to give it to you. You know what I mean? And he was mad. And so he went and so I just let him go ahead and make me jump through hoops. The thing I was scared the most, is if I would have got arrested there, I didn't have a phone or anything, I would have went to El Centro or Imperial. And nobody knew I was going over there. I was just driving. It was after the fair. I saw cop lights. So I would have, you know, my truck would have been impounded. I'm disabled. I don't got no money. You know, I would have lost everything. My family would have been messed up. You know, so I just bowed down at that point.
I think I still have the document open on my other computer in my office. That's why it's not showing up on this.
Okay.
I just entered it this morning, but I also did his eval this morning.
Oh.
So a lot of that stuff is still open.
Uh-huh.
So I can't access it right now because it's open down there.
I just want to say, just talking to you, I trust that you're going to handle it the way it needs to be handled. You know, I really appreciate you. I have a lot of.
To be honest with you, there was one other incident about a year ago where he had a confrontation with another citizen that I spoke to him about, and it kind of was the same kind of thing where the citizen confronted him and it was like more or less a surprise. I think he was surprised that the citizen wasn't going to back down, you know, to his authority. Yeah. And he kind of escalated a little bit farther than he should have. So we had to talk to him about that. So. Okay. But again, that citizen didn't want to file a complaint. But it's certainly an option. It's your right if you want to do that. And that's why I asked Sergeant Wright to come in here so he could hear it, because eventually he will get the complaint. If you do file one, he gets them and then he reviews them. Okay. Then we go through that whole process. So. Let me give you this here. You have that form already. I printed that out, so I'll give you a blank one. But along with this is a printed out version of the whole complaint process that you can find online for the Yuma Police Department website. Okay. It's got the whole process and some links in here that you can get citizen complaint forms or other. Say you have a good experience with an officer, you want to give them an attaboy or something. Like that. I got a lot of those. So I got a lot of those. Just give that to you. Okay.
So have that. Close to where you're going to find those forms is my name, my direct line, and my email address.
It's actually right there.
Yeah, well, it's on there, and then I can give you a card that's got all that information as well. Okay. So it makes it easy to reach out and go either way. If you have commendations, that'd be great. If you have concerns or complaints that you need to file, you can reach out and call me or email me directly.
As soon as I get home, I'll be calling you here the next couple of days, because I got a few of them that are, I mean, they are stars of the police department, I think. You know what I mean? They've been so awesome, you know, and there needs to be more like them, is what I think. So, yeah, I'll be giving you those.
You can tell that this one was this is the old one that I haven't saved yet, because it stops at the 30th. And since then, there's been one award that Officer Pappin was a part of, and then I've got a couple of entries I made just this morning, and that was one of them from yesterday, because we talked about it briefly this morning.
Okay.
Because like I told everybody this morning, I wasn't too happy
Okay.
with the performance, because they were kind of ribbing him.
Okay.
The whole squad was, so he was getting it from all directions this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. That's not what I'm all about. I'm about change and also help educate and to stop a situation in the future from happening. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? If I can get out there and it comes out on me and it shows, hey, this person might need a little bit of help with something, well, then I did public service, I think.
Well, that's
you know,
the reason we have a separate professional standards unit.
Yeah.
So when we do identify trends like this and officer performance, we can address those with an unbiased, independent assessment.
Okay, and then I have a question for you. I know I've been a little bit of buzz around here because the officer's been knowing my name. Is it a positive buzz or a negative? I mean, are they thinking I'm doing a bad thing, or are they?
No,
am I just an annoyance? Okay.
As long as, and what I tell my officers is if, you know, and yesterday, because I was stuck in the office doing evaluations, and I heard the call come out, and I said, I'll bet you that's Southwest Rebel, and he's going in there again. And I got on the radio, and I said, hey, if he's not doing anything, he's not causing a disturbance or not interrupting the flow of business, you know, the normal daily routine of the post office, just monitor for a second, then take off.
Okay.
No reason to contact.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
You know? And most of my officers are pretty good about that. I think something rubbed him wrong, and I don't know if it was contempt of cop. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah. Well, and then I have one.
I saw his reaction. And I wasn't too happy with it, but
I got one last question. Now, like I said, I haven't been in trouble in like 15 plus years. Mm-hmm. I've never had a beard before. How did you? Do you know how they got my name? My first. I am so curious how the officers come up and say, "Hey Bruce, hey Danny." It's been my ball. Like, how did they get my name? I haven't seen any officer that I used to know. I've had any interactions with anybody I used to know.
Honestly, can't.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, facial recognition, but can they get it with the beard? I don't even know. So.
I have an officer in my squad that is a walking Rolodex.
Yeah.
He can recognize people he's talked to 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah, you know, so
I remember people I talked to yesterday. So.
It blew my mind when they were like, okay, Bruce, okay, Danny. I was like, it both happened the same day. I was at the probation department. He called me by my first name, and then an officer I ran into before when I was doing the assessor's office, I think it was, he was like, hey, Danny. And I was like, oh, man, how'd you guys get my info? But it's all good, you know, so I'm glad they know my name, you know. It's just, but still, if I'm in a situation, I'm out there filming a building, and they ask for my name, I'm not going to give it. I'm just saying, you know, because I don't have to, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But if they know my name, well, then I'll be like, okay, you got me, you know? So,
yeah.
So,
do you have a copy of that form that they have at the post office?
I have it actually out in my truck.
Okay.
Would you like to see it?
No,
Or?
I read it.
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure you had a copy.
Yeah, I got them
That'll keep you out of hot water with those guys. It's federal. That area is a whole different ball field because they have their own rules and stuff.
Yeah.
What I briefed my guys on is that's federal property, and we're not going to force any federal laws on that property.
Yeah, once inside.
Until it becomes a state law.
Yeah.
You know, that's broken.
And I have actually two things that, because it is federal. Mm-hmm. There in 2010 there was a DHS memo that went out. Are you familiar with that one? Okay, that one.
Film in a public place.
Yeah. You can film if it's a federal building. You can film the lobbies, foyers, just like on that one. And I think that's why the post office put up that poster 7 because of that memo. They're the only government office I've seen that actually does that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but you know, if you look out.